This portion of the John Fredericks Show is brought to you by Hargrave Military Academy. Attend an educational and informative open house event at Hargrave Military Academy in Chatham, Virginia. For more information, visit online at hargrave.edu. Hargrave Military Academy. Build his future.
Joining us now is one of three candidates vying for that post. And as I said in my column today, in my judgment, he is the leading candidate right now. And that is Richard Ottinger. Richard, great to have you with us.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Hey, we're doing fantastic, although I am trying to get over this flu, so I'm a little scratchy, so you got to hang in there, and deal with the frog in my throat.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm happy I'm not sitting in the booth with you there.
Well, that's right. You know, we just had one of your rivals in, John Cogshell, and I said, you know, John, you might not want to shake hands with me or get too close because I've gotten everybody sick that has come within 10 feet of me, including Ken Johnson. So we're trying to stay away. But look, we appreciate you being with us. The first thing I want to do is tell our audience what was the catalyst here? What was the inspiring motivator that got you involved in this race?
Number one, John, it's the fact that somebody from my generation needs to step up. It's time for younger folks, new ideas, fresh faces to get involved. It's our responsibility. I've got two kids, 11 and 8 years old, and their future does not look as bright as it should right now. So I want to do something about it.
And so getting into the state Senate, I mean, you know, it's kind of a part-time job. Why do you think you can get in there and make that kind of a difference?
Well, the point you made earlier is absolutely crucial. Senate hangs in the balance. 2020, our friend Ralph Northam is now the tiebreaker. If we get this seat, 21-19 in favor of the Republicans. It's absolutely huge. Also, I've got 18 years of experience as an attorney. Mm-hmm. What I do each and every day is get up and fight for my clients. I'll do that for all the constituents in the 6th and also the Commonwealth. Now,
Richard, you're going to go up against the Democratic nominee, Linwood Lewis. You got a couple of obstacles. I've been saying whoever the nominee is. Number one, Linwood just came off of a race in November, so he had a political machine in place. Secondly, you look at the depth of his victory on Saturday in that Democratic firehouse primary. The amount of people that he got out on the Eastern Shore on his behalf, which is his home base, was stunning. I mean, he got 97% of the votes on the Eastern Shore. I said in my column today, that's better than Politburo members did in the old USSR. So how do you defeat that?
Well, he's not invulnerable, I'll tell you that right now. It's going to be a tough road, but if you look at his race for his House seat, which was 2 weeks ago, he was running against a guy who literally lives in a bus, spent $25 on his campaign, and he still was able to get almost 30% of the vote against Linwood. So Linwood is vulnerable. The other way is we've got to get voter turnout in Norfolk and Matthews and also really rally our base up in the Eastern Shore. Norfolk is chock full of moderates, and that's one thing that I appeal to. I can get the moderates from the west side of Norfolk, the east side of Norfolk, and ultimately, as you know, it's about getting bodies to the polls. It's all about turnout. 59% of the voters in the district are in Norfolk. We've got a strong Republican base in Matthews and Accomack County as well. So it's going to. There is, like I said, there's a path to winning this against Linwood, and we've got to follow that path strongly.
You just said you could appeal to moderates. Why?
Well, I'm a common sense type guy. You keep using that phrase, but I bring it to the table. Absolutely. I appeal to the folks in the middle as well as to the folks in the strong base. Now, I have long roots in Norfolk, been here my entire life. My mom grew up here. My dad was here from high school on. And I believe that people know me to be a good listener, a good thinker, a practical guy. And that's what I bring to the table. And I think I'm going to draw those folks out.
Let's go to some of the top issues. Medicaid expansion. There's several state senators in Southeast Virginia that believe that you might as well take the money from the government because, look, if you don't take the couple $1 billion or whatever it is, it'll end up flowing somewhere else. How do you stand on that?
Absolutely opposed to Medicaid expansion. As you know, Medicaid makes up 22% of the state's budget right now. 10 years ago it was 11%. Nothing to make anybody believe that Medicaid is not going to increase as a percentage of our budget without the expansion. The expansion is the classic bait and switch, the old Roach Motel. The problem with accepting that money back, and it's important to note that is our money that's flowing up to D.C.
Right.
Coming back, the problem is once we're in, we can't get out. We have to rely on Congress's promise to continue to fund that money back to us. And between you and me, I'm not so sure I want to trust in Congress to keep their promise to pay us back. CMS, who runs the program, has made it clear that once a state has opted into Medicaid expansion, regardless of whether the feds follow through on their promise to maintain funding, you can't, as a state, get out. So what's going to happen, and you know this as well as everybody listening, the feds can print money, but the state can't. We have to live within our budget, and once we get stuck with that bill in 3 years or 5 years, we can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. And the only way to fix it is to raise taxes. That is not a good solution. Mm-hmm. It's not a good plan.
So, Richard, Governor-elect of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, before he kind of backpedaled on it, he said, hey, don't even think about sending me a budget without Medicaid expansion because I will not sign it. I'll shut the thing down until I get one that has it in it. If you were a freshman state senator, what would be your message back to Mr. McAuliffe? My
message back to Mr. McAuliffe would be, listen, if you want to hold up the rest of the budget on a huge project, a huge, massive government expansion that is destined to fail, have at it. I think it's going to do nothing but show the Democrats for what they are, which is the party of big government. And I don't want to see it, but if he does it, I think it's going to be a great message to the voters of the Commonwealth.
Richard, I want to talk for a minute about the toll situation in Southeast Virginia. One of the other things that Governor-elect McAuliffe said is he's like, look, the tolls that are going to be coming down the pike in January really don't make any sense for this region, and that it's going to further separate one community from the other, and it's an overburden on people in Hampton Roads. How do you stand on that?
I absolutely agree. It's an overburden on Hampton Roads. The way I think it should be dealt with is I think that the entire Commonwealth, who benefits from the economic engine that is Hampton Roads, tourism, the port, all of Virginians benefit from that economic engine. I think all of Virginians should pay for the vital transportation improvements that we need to keep the money flowing. Mm-hmm. And the way it stands now, there are going to be a very small number of people, the commuters from Norfolk going to Portsmouth and Portsmouth going to Norfolk every single day, who are going to bear not only the burden, but an incredible burden. Mm-hmm. In a few years, the tolls are going to be absolutely out of this world. Mm-hmm. And McAuliffe believes, as he said, that he can wave a magic wand and make the deal go away and renegotiate. And as a lawyer, I can tell you, once you got a deal, you got to stick with it.
Right.
We can't get out of that contract. Was it a good deal at the time? I think not, but it's a deal. We got it. We stick by our word. What we can do, though, is shift funds, transportation funds, to buy down those tolls so that the commuters, the folks, the working class folks that are trying to get back and forth to work can get back and forth without taking a huge hit.
So what do you say to your state Senate colleagues in areas of Virginia that don't have anything to do with Hampton Roads saying, well, wait a minute, why are we subsidizing tolls in the other end of the state?
Well, you point to the economic engine. You point to the taxes paid by all the businesses here that pay taxes based on the income from the port, from tourism at the beach, and you just got to make the case for it. I mean, their roads are in great shape out in Southwest, in Richmond, but not here, not Northern Virginia. That was the point of the transportation bill this past session. Now, that bill, I got to tell you, was not perfect by any stretch.
Mm-hmm.
The funding mechanisms I disagree with, but it's hard for me to believe that anybody that lives in Hampton Roads can argue that those projects aren't necessary.
Right.
They should have been started 20 years ago, but they weren't. The House, Senate dragged their feet, didn't do anything about it, and we are where we are. So that's one good argument against our region suffering the full penalty of paying for all these projects. Benefit flows to everybody in the Commonwealth.
I've got one more question. Talk to me about the social agenda. If you're in the state Senate, one of the criticisms of the Virginia State Senate when it was in Republican hands was that there was a lot of conservative or right-wing social engineering going on, and many people say that's what has done the party in. How do you stand on this?
Well, John, I oppose labeling. I think the Democrats have done a great job of co-opting the argument, of pinning labels on folks in the Republican Party. We've got to rise above that. Democrats have done a great job of dealing with their internal issues behind closed doors and presenting a united front to the voters.
Mm.
That's something we have to do.
Right.
We've seen it in the statewide election. Democrats spent a ton of money and did a good job marketing their message. We've got to do the same thing. We've got to have a positive message about economic change, about bringing jobs to the Commonwealth, about rebuilding our education system. That's what we need to focus on.
Okay, sir, we're out of time. We've been chatting with Richard Ottinger. He's one of three candidates vying for the Republican nomination to represent the 6th District Senate District of Virginia. That'll be decided in a canvass-style firehouse primary tomorrow between 3 and 7 p.m., and you can just Google any of the candidates and find out exactly where those precincts are that you can participate in. Richard, we want to thank you for your time. For those of our listeners that want to find out a little bit more about what your positions are or how to get involved in your campaign in this final day, where do they go? www.ottinger-senate.com, www.ottinger-senate.com. All right, sir. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, John.